first thing that it asks us to do here is just to go in and fill in this chart. So we should all have our graphing calculator with us. If you want to type in an exponent other than 2, remember you just type the number, so the base, right? Our base here is 2. And then this little button right here. And then you can type in whatever exponent you want. So that first one is 4, so 2 to the 4th. Enter, tells us it's 16, all right? Okay, so 2 to the 4th is 16. What's 2 to the 3rd? 8, good. And what's 2 squared? Good. What is 2 to the 1st? Just 2, right? And 2 to the 0? Right, anything to the 0 power is just 1. All right, what do we get if we type in 2 to the negative 1 power? 0.5, or as a fraction, that would be 1/2. All right, what about 2 to the negative 2? Huh? 1/4. Okay, and what about 2 to the negative 3rd power? 1/8. And 2 to the negative 4th power. Very good. So, do you guys notice any kind of pattern going on here? What did you say? It got smaller. Okay. So, what was the first one? 2 to the 4th, and it was 16. What was negative 4?
16.
Negative 4 gave us 1/16, right? 2 to the 3rd was, and 2 to the negative 3 gave us, so it's not just getting smaller, it's getting what? Yes, very good, very good. So basically, 16 is the same as 16/1, right? 8 is the same as 8/1. 4 is the same as 4/1. So really, all that was happening here, it was flipping those fractions over, right? So if you are taking a negative exponent of something, it's kind of like taking its reciprocal. So like these two went together, and these two went together, and these two went together, and these two. And we are going to call those reciprocals of each other. Okay, so whenever you have some number being raised to a negative exponent, it should get you the same thing as it would if it was raised to a positive, but flip it over, right? So that being said, if we have some base being raised to a negative exponent, I could rewrite that as 1/whatever that was, right? Okay, so how could I rewrite 6 to the negative 4th power? How can I make that 4 positive? I move it to the bottom. Right? That's exactly what this rule just said. If you have a negative exponent, you can just move it to the bottom to make it positive. Now, in this case, you could simplify this further, right? What do you actually get if you raise 6 to the 4th power? So this is the same as 1/1296. Okay? On this next one, I got negative 4 raised to the negative 2 power. But if I want to raise it to the positive 2 power, where do I need to put it? Very good. So I could rewrite this as 1/-4 squared. Right? Okay. And what is -4 squared in the bottom going to simplify to? No, not -16. Because when we square something, that means times itself, right? So a negative times a negative is a positive. If you're going to type that in your calculator, you have to put parentheses around the number or your calculator won't pick up on the negative. All right? On this last one, though, it's already written as a fraction. So it's already in the bottom. So to make it positive, I would move it to the top. Very good. So I could rewrite this as 2 to the 3, or 2 to the 3 over 1. Flipped it over, right? And what is 2 to the 3rd power?
8.
Good. So basically, anytime we have a negative exponent, move it across that fraction bar. Okay, if it's negative in the top, we move it to the bottom. If it's negative in the bottom, we're going to move it to the top. Right. It says that right here. For every non-zero number, if you raise something to the 0 power, doesn't matter what it is, it becomes 1.
And if it's negative, it'll be a negative.
So if I typed any number I wanted, right, and I raise it to the 0 power, still just 1. Okay. All right, so 5 to the 0 power is negative 2 to the 0 power is, and 34.693 is going to be
1.
and 1/4 to the 0 power is
1.
right. Okay, so now we're going to use our rules to help us rewrite or simplify each one of these. So on number 1, is the whole thing being raised to the -5th power or just the m? Just the m. So that's the only part that I want to move. I'm not moving the 11, right? Okay, so the 11 stays where it is, but where am I going to move the m to the 5th? Right, move it down. Okay? On number 2, is the -4 being raised to any kind of a negative exponent? No. So am I going to move it? No. What about the x? So we're going to move it to, yes, the bottom. Yes. Nothing wrong with the y, so the y stays where it is. Okay? All right, what should we do on number 3? Right. So then I would have just there. Very good. You could put it over 1, but that's equivalent to just y to the 3rd, right? So you don't have to leave 1 at the bottom. Okay? All right, let's flip it over onto the back. Okay, so got a couple of review questions first. They want us to multiply the numbers here. 4 times -2 is -8. What am I going to get for m? Good. Okay. And I could go ahead and add these as they are, right? What is -2 plus 4? Huh? It would be 2. So I'll just have n squared, right? So you just got to be careful when we're adding and subtracting negatives, right? Okay. On number 5, if I want to multiply my numbers, what am I going to get? Good. All right, for A, I've got -3 plus 2. What's that going to give me? So I got A to the -1. Very good. And then for B, I've got -1 and nothing, so it's an understood 1, right? All right, -1 plus 1 is 0, right? So B to the 0. Okay, but we can't leave it like this because we're not supposed to have negative exponents, right? Okay, so do I need to move the 15? No. What about A? Yes, I'm going to take A and move it to the bottom, and now it's got a +1, or we don't really have to write it, right? It's understood. And B, anything to the 0 power is just 1. So this is gone. It becomes a 1. Well, 15 times 1 is just, so we end up with 15 over A. Okay? All right, number 6. everything in this parenthesis is being raised to the third power. So what is 4 raised to the third power? Very good. And then our rule for exponents is to multiply when we have power to a power. So a to the, very good. But we can't leave it like that. What do we need to do? Right, just the a to the 12 needs to go to the bottom, right? So it can be positive. So we would have 64 over a to the 12. Okay. Okay, on this next one, we're going to fix our exponents before we subtract. That way we're not subtracting a negative minus a negative and messing up our signs, okay? So, I'm just going to rewrite it. I'm going to leave the 24 where it is, leave the 6 where it is in the bottom. Should the a to the negative 3 stay there or go down? Down. So I'm going to put a to the third down here. There was also an a to the negative 5 in the bottom. I should move it to the, very good. Okay. All right, b to the 4th. Do I need to move that one? Nope, it's good where it is. And then I got a b squared in the bottom. Do I need to move that one? Nope. And then we have a c to the 0. Okay, now we can go back and simplify everything. So what is negative 24 divided by 6? Good. And what do I do with my exponents? Subtract. Yes.
So where do you get the 5 from? A over 5?
We moved it to the top because it was negative, and we moved that one to the bottom. Okay. What did you say we would get? A what? When we subtract 5 minus 3, a to the second, and it would go in the, very good. All right, b, what am I going to get there? 2, and it's going to go in the, okay. And what is c to the 0 going to become? 1. So basically it's gone, right? So all that's really left is that c to the 0, which became 1. And do I have to write this over 1? No. So I could just leave it as negative 4 a squared b squared. Okay. Okay. Number 8. We're multiplying, but on this parenthesis, everything is being squared, right? So I got to do that first. Okay, so I'm not going to do anything to this first parenthesis right now. I'm going to leave it as it is. Okay? In this second parenthesis, everything is being raised to the second power. So what's negative 3 squared? Positive 9, right? Negative 3 times negative 3. Remember I said if you're going to put it in your calculator, you got to put that number in parentheses, okay? All right, so it does become 9. All right, and then for x, negative 2 raised to the second power, we're going to have x to the good. And then for y, I've got 3 raised to the second, which will be y to the very good. And z to the nice. It's an understood 1, and 1 times 2 is 2. Okay, now we can go back, multiply, combine our terms. So this 9, is there anything to multiply by in the first one? So it's just 9, right? Okay, for my x's, I got a 2 and a negative 4. So altogether that would be good. For y, we've got negative 2 and 6, which altogether would be 4. Good. And then for z, 0 plus 2. Good. Okay, anything we need to move now? Just the x, right? Everything else is going to stay. So we'll have 9 y to the 4th z squared, but in the bottom we have an x squared. number 9. Got to raise our entire parenthesis to the second power there, right? So what is 2 squared? 2 squared would be?
4.
Good. And then m has an understood exponent of 1, so it'll become m. Good. And a half times 2 will be into the good first. All right. In the other parenthesis, again, we're squaring. What is 3 squared? And it becomes m to the nice. And now we can multiply, right? Okay. So what is 4 times 9? All right, and what are we going to get for m when we add? 2 and negative 6 would be negative 4. Good. And then is there anything for the n to be combined with? No. So do we need to move anything? Got to move m to the bottom. So we'll have 36n over m to the 4th. So we're moving it now. Okay? All right, the last one. It says we're going to evaluate this expression for r being equal to negative 3 and s is equal to 4. So I'm going to rewrite this. We got 2 to the negative 4. But instead of r, what am I supposed to plug in for r? Good. So I got negative 3 squared. And then s, what am I supposed to plug in for s? 4 raised to the negative 2, right? And are there any variables left? No. So I could type this in my calculator exactly as it's written, right? So I'd have 2 to the negative 4 times negative 3 squared. Oops. My little pencil's in the way, you can't see. So 2 to the negative 4 times negative 3 squared times 4 to the negative 2. Oh, thank you. There it goes. There it goes. Gosh, it's not taken when I type. 2 negative, did it take it? Didn't take it. Negative 4 parentheses negative 3. Again, it didn't take the 3. Squared times 4 to the negative. There it goes. Okay. Finally. Okay. So, and then we don't want this ugly decimal, so we need to convert it back to a fraction, right? So math, enter. So 9 over 256. So if this ever happens where there are no variables left, you can type in your calculator. Hopefully your buttons work better than the screen does.